Welcome to Happy Place Crafting, crafting therapy for the soul. Hello, my crafty friends. Today we are going to continue to work on Anna, the sewing journal. This last part is in two parts, actually, because it was a span of over a couple hours that I spent on kind of finishing Anna up and kind of tweaking her and putting the fine tuning to her. And what I ended up doing was, I kind of go back through the journal and see what I need to do. And in this case, it for sure needed some stamping on some of the pages. And because when I put the pages in, I didn't sew them in and I put them in with an elastic binding, I was able to take them out to stamp on them, which made it easier. I tried using the board behind it, and it works, and it makes it easier where you don't have to take them out. But when you're doing a lot of stamping, it's just easier to take the page out, I think, and stamp it where you want to. It just, it adds just a little something to the page, I guess. But at least I thought so. So I thought we would do that and add those to this. And that's what I'm doing on this particular page. Just adding some, different, I think I have like a favorite cursive stamp that I like to add. And then I just did some names and dates, I think. And I usually add some numbers or something, just something to give it some interest. I like the cursive. And since it's a lost thing, people in the future won't be able to read it. It'll be like hieroglyphics. Nobody will know what it means. Just us old folks who actually learned how to sign our names in cursive. But I think it's weird that they don't teach it anymore. But, my kids, my younger kids, my older kids, they know how. But my younger kids, like Sophie, nope. She practices, I think they need to know how to do their name in cursive, at the very least. But now I think I'm adding some labels. And, it works really good to use the clothespin, to kind of keep my place in the book where I'm working at. So it doesn't, how when it starts to get full, the pages flip all over the place. This way it doesn't do that. Sorry about my creaky chair, but it's like cold here this morning. So I'm kind of like antsy and moving around trying to keep warm. I even got like a cardigan sweater on. I'm kind of chilly this morning, but by this afternoon it'll be warmer again. So, that's Ohio weather for you. You just stick around a minute and it'll change. So, but yeah, I'm just having fun decorating her. I really did love this journal. And I ended up, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but there was so much in this journal that I had to take half of it out and make another journal. So the one journal ended up becoming two. So it's actually Anna and Gina. And I'm going to do flip throughs of both of them so that you can see all the different things that I did and really, take a good look at them. But I'm just kind of making sure that, some pages I think it's okay to leave them alone. But some pages I think need to have, a little bit something extra added to them. But some pages, the paper is really pretty enough. You really don't have to do anything to it, I suppose. That's why I try to pick papers that are a little more when I design papers so that they can stand alone if you need them to, some of them, and others to be background papers to just add some interest because you're going to add things onto them And that's when I'm designing papers, that's usually kind of what I think of as a journaler. I'm just adding a pocket here. I did not sew these pages. I wish I had sewn them. Since this journal, every journal I've made going forward, I've sewn the pages. I learned that little tip from Gail Augustinelli. Very good tip. I still glue them, but once I glue them, I take them to the sewing machine and sew them around. It just, keeps them from coming apart. They're going to stay forever. So let's see, what am I doing now? Oh, I think I'm going to hinge this. Yeah. I decide to hinge it to the top of the journal here. And just create a little added interest there. Give it a little flip. I like the hinges. I think the hinges are pretty cool. And that's like a fold out page, almost like a trifold that's in there. So we need to add some things to that. I'm just going through and kind of just zhuzhing it up and, giving it some interest. Oh, I have that really pretty washi tape. I always forget about that washi tape. I have it in a different place than the rest of my washi tape. Maybe that's my problem. So, I guess I decide not to use it. Well, so much for that washi tape this time. But yeah, I always forget to use it. I need to add it to, with the rest of it so I use it properly. Because it is really pretty. Oh, now I'm auditioning the lace to see if I want to add lace to it. Do I add lace to the top of it? It's been a minute since I made this journal, so I'm kind of like looking at it and watching it with you. Yep, I guess I add it because I'm putting glue on it. If it's getting glue, that means it's going in. Gotta love lace. And I like, regular lace, paper lace, all of it. I like all of it. I just think it's pretty cool. Lucky for you, I even sped this video up. It's actually like 4 times. This little bit that you're watching now was really like an hour long, but we're fitting it in 20 minutes thanks to the lovely camera images here. Editing software. That's what I meant. Editing software. It's a beautiful day here. The sky is blue, blue. You would have no idea that I was up all night watching the hurricane come into Florida. Hoping and praying that all my crafty friends were fine. Do not like weather. But not something we have any control over. Just have to hope and pray. Here I'm adding some more stamps, just some cursive stamps and things to every time I see like a cursive stamp and I realized that I really like the handwritten number stamps too. Those are probably, out of the number stamps, my favorites. I go to those more because it looks like somebody just like jotted a note down on the paper with, they just wrote the number down instead of like stamping it. I mean, how often are they really going to stamp it? They're really, unless it came that way, they're probably just going to number it, or if they have a stamp, but really they're just going to write it probably by hand. That's why I think I like them. I think it kind of looks more authentic. All right, so we're sticking that page back in there. Getting that in there. Let's adjust this a little bit. And going to the next page. Taking another page out. Marking. I had to mark where I took it out from because there's so many pages and I'm not going to remember where I took it out from. So now I'm trying to think about what else am I going to do to this to give it some interest. I think it looks like it needs stamps, doesn't it? Oh, there we go. That's a good idea. Do we use that? Yep. I like that idea. Obviously. I thought of it. I'm using it. I love those little measuring tapes. And how perfect are measuring tapes for, a journal like this, right? I had that little piece of pattern. Thought about using that. I keep all those little pieces that, I cut off or tear off just to think, I might use them somewhere else. I think I'm looking for something to put behind there. I think I used one of those business cards. That was a freebie, I'm pretty sure, from somewhere. Maybe Ko-Fi. I think somebody on Ko-Fi maybe had that freebie. It was a good one. I really enjoyed it. Or, you know what? Was it Ko-Fi or was it Tracy Fox? I need to start writing these things down because my memory is really so very bad when it comes to these things. But there really, if you look, there are a lot of free printables out there. I mean, a lot. You could probably get by pretty well without having to purchase any printables because so many people offer them free. And a lot of them, you can take them and make them, make whatever you need with them. Use them as a base or whatever. But I mean, I know for certain that Julie from Camellia Crafts has a whole sheet of like butterflies and flowers. I'm pretty sure that you can fussy cut on Ko-Fi, because I remember when I very first started that I went in and got them. I didn't have any and I needed to build up my stash, and I use them all the time. I do. And over time, you start to I think you start to get like your own, at least in my experience so far, I realized that some things that I probably printed and thought I needed in the beginning, I really didn't need, because now I'm kind of getting my own style, like what I like to use and what I don't really like to use. Like I know that I like to use flowers that already have stems. I do not like, very rarely will I use just a flower head. I just don't really, I don't know, there's something about them that aren't my thing. And I know that there's places to use them and a lot of people use them. But I just prefer flowers to have stems to them. That's just my thing. So I really try hard, going forward, not to buy or, make any flowers that don't have stems to them, because I won't end up using them. And so that's kind of a waste if you don't use them, right? So, but let's see, what else are we doing here? We're getting labels, adding labels to this. I know that a lot of people have really liked and enjoyed this journal, and that makes me so happy. This is a journal that I've curated the items for it over, I guess I've been putting stuff aside for it since the moment I decided to start junk journaling. And that was like on my list of things. There were a few journals that I really wanted to do. I wanted to do a sewing journal. I wanted to do a circus journal, which I have not done yet. And I wanted to do a farm journal, which I have not done that one yet either. And so those are projects that are in the works that I've been slowly curating stuff where every time I see something that would go in, and I'm like, oh, that goes in this folder for in the future when I decide to finally do this journal. Oh, we did another hinge one. Yeah, I like doing those. They're kind of cool. I do like to leave like a lot of spots for people to write if they want to write. But they're not necessarily on the pages themselves usually. Usually they're on the tags and things, where if you look at it, you wouldn't see them unless you pull them out and, turn them around. So that's usually more of what I do. But like that page right there with the buildings, that came from a kit, a free kit, matter of fact, that Margaret from 7th Plaza, she had designed that. It was on Ko-Fi. It's a sewing themed one. It's only a few pages long. I wish she really would have done more to that because I really loved it. I think it would be so pretty to do a whole journal just out of that. Um, or maybe not a journal, but maybe like a folio type journal, right? Um, so yeah, I think that would be so pretty. But yeah, she just did a few pages, and they are free on her Ko-fi. Um, so I had found those when I was looking at stuff and stuck those aside. And that other page that I'm doing right now, it came from a magazine or like a book, and I tore it out and put it aside because I thought, oh, this is beautiful. You know, the sewing machine advertisement and the wedding dress and everything. And so, you know, of course, it needs to be um, set aside so that I can use it for the sewing journal. So, yeah, I just kind of found stuff along the way and set it aside. That's kind of how I work, I guess. I get a idea or a theme and then just kind of start gathering things for it, and then I figure out a way to put them all together. I guess. I mean, they all kind of go together, right? Because they're under the same theme. In my mind, anyways. In somebody else's, it might not work. But in my mind, that's how it goes. So, um, I'm just adding a little tag there. That ends up pretty cute. I love that paper. It's like wallpaper, but it's kind of like fabric too. That's why I thought it was okay to add that in there. And I got lucky along the way too. Like when I was at a thrift store, I found a sewing book, an old sewing book. And so I was able to use a lot of that in here as well, the different pages. And then I was going through some of my craft stuff, and I remembered my mom had this old, um, it was called hooking. It wasn't latch hook, it was just hooking. And it was a book. I remember her doing it back in the day too. And it's something I will never do. So I've used a lot of the pages from the book for, um, you know, this sewing book because it is, you know, sewing themed, you know, interest. So yeah, I had, and a lot of stuff like when I made during my lives or other projects, tags and things, knowing that I was going to be doing this book, I also leaned more towards some of those themes when I was making those so that I could set them aside and eventually put them in this book. So, um, you know, that's kind of how this book has come along. It's been a process over many things, but um, but it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing these. I really, really enjoy doing them. I love these backgrounds. This background is just like almost like a dictionary page, but it's typed, so I kind of like that about it. And it's different. I usually either go for typed or, well, I mean, like, what else is there, right? But I mean, like, typed with a typewriter kind of type, not, um, those are the things that or handwritten. Those are what I usually lean towards when it's coming to things like that. Because back in the day, they didn't have all the fonts, the fancy fonts that, you know, that they have now. They did have fancy fonts, but they didn't have the hundreds of fonts that we have now. Um, they had a few. Because you figure they had to have, you know, typeset drawers for every one of those, right? Because that's how they were done. They weren't like done on a computer. So it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Cool too, though. Printer drawers. Gotta love printer drawers. Now they're expensive. People want a lot of money for them. So I think that this page is going to be it for this section. And then the next section I do should finish off this book. Then Anna and Gina should be finished. And then I'll be able to do a flip through of them so that you can see how they turned out and what they look like. And I'll try to explain a little bit more than on my process of what I was thinking. Oh, I added a stamp to that. I always forget to use those stamps. I have so many of those stamps and I forget to use them, so I'm glad I used one. Because often I don't think about them. It's kind of like out of sight, out of mind, right? There's so many things, it's hard to remember everything. I'm looking through more. Gotta add more. Don't like empty space. You should see my walls. There's not an empty space. This is my life. It's for sure my life. All right. We're winding up. So I think that's it for this page. And I'm going to catch you next time. Take care. Thank you for watching Happy Place Crafting. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It means a whole lot.